Good morning, and welcome to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Boston Hill. We are here at Awesome Radio, 106.9 FM WBIS. And good morning, Calvin. And we're looking for people who have told us that they overcame the challenge and they voted. So please give us a call to join the conversation at 252-756-2008. And good morning, Calvin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well, Renee. We are going to be talking a lot today about voting. It's just so important that we vote.
And we're not going to. This is the day before the general election. In some states, they still have early voting going on, which is a good thing. So you don't have to wait till the last minute to go and vote if you're living in one of those states. And if you have not voted yet, then we are going to definitely be speaking to you today. And don't wake up tomorrow or on Wednesday with regrets saying, "Oh my goodness, I wish I would have participated. My one vote could have made a difference in someone who I support getting elected." And we're going to ask that you don't go for the okey doke. And Calvin, when I speak about the okey doke, I'm speaking about how these pollsters, we're media, we're there talking and speaking about elections. But then you have the media, the talk shows, and they are trying to give you their narrative in terms of how they want you to feel and believe in how things are going. So when we talk about the okey doke, we're going to speak about how they're saying, oh, the elections are the Democrats and the Republicans, they're both neck and neck. And that's not true because guess what? But we want them to stay that way because then we're hoping that those election deniers, those Trump supporters, those MAGA people, that they stay home because they don't need their vote. The Republicans don't need their vote because they're doing so fabulous. And we want the Democrats, okay, who are understanding that democracy is on the ballot, that there are so many things that are on the ballot that if they don't go and support us and support what we feel is important, then we're going to be into a whole new world come Wednesday, December the 9th. So we're asking that you understand that there's a lot of conversation going out there to distract and to distort. But we are just going to do what we have to do. And I'm just saying that if you have someone who is seeking your vote, who is an incumbent, and we've been talking about that. I've explained to you constantly, Calvin, and our listeners, what is an incumbent? An incumbent is someone who is already in the office. And if they are in the House seat and they are seeking to be re-elected, you do know that there were 147 Republicans, and I'm going to call them out right now today, that did not vote to certify the election. They were part of the insurrectionists, the people who actually combated and supported those who took over the Capitol, and those who had to, and our elected officials, and even those who supported the insurrection, they went hiding. But that didn't mean that they were doing. And when it came time and they got back together, they did not vote to certify the election that President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris actually won. And so that began the danger. That began the lie. And that now has been going on since 2020. And it's now 2022. And Calvin, would you believe that we have 291 people on the ballot that are election deniers?
I would believe it 100%, Renee, because that's what's happening. And so that's why we have to get out and vote. We have to do a report, on these individuals, and you have to look them up. You can't just say, well, I'm going to go vote for Harry or I'm going to go vote for Susan. You got to look them up and see what their platform is all about before you cast your ballot. And now you need to do it today because tomorrow is it. Everyone needs to get out there and vote.
And not only do you need to vote, but you need to know who you're voting for. And this is the most critical election. And you have to understand what is on the ballot. That you have people who want to put Trump back in office, and then him and his minions or his little children, they, if he dies, they would think that they have a right to be the president of this United States. And we have come so far. We have just, oh, I can't even think, Calvin. We have come so far. I mean, I'm going through we're down here in North Carolina. We're city people, but now we're country people. And I'm going through cotton fields. I'm going through corn fields. I'm going through soy fields. I'm going through tobacco fields. And then I'm saying, my God, when they brought us over here and they put us and they whipped us and they hung us when we wouldn't pick that cotton. I could never be a cotton picker, Calvin. I could never, you know.
Okay, let's back up a little bit. Okay,
I could never pick tobacco.
we understand that, Renee, and I understand that. But look, the Gallup poll. I'm going to talk about that for a second. While you come down a little bit. Okay, the Gallup poll.
What did they do to us, Calvin? I mean, like, can you imagine? And if they think these white supremacists think that they have the right to put us back, take away the cotton mill, take away the things that pull the tobacco, and put us back out there to work in the fields, is that what you want?
Well, I don't think that's what everybody wants, but a lot of people, they talk about make America great again. That's what it's all about, bringing that back. But the inflation and the economy and the abortion issues are among the most important problems facing the U.S. today. This is why we got to get out there and vote. I'm talking about the women, that have the issues. They should be out there voting. They should bring in their daughters, their grandmothers, everyone out to vote, because this abortion issue is a serious thing. And these men are trying to make decisions on these women's bodies. A woman should be able to control her own body. You have some states, Renee, saying that it doesn't matter what the woman is going through. She cannot get an abortion, even if it costs her life. She cannot get an abortion. I remember, a month or so ago, where there was a 10-year-old girl that was raped, and she had to leave that state to get medical attention. So this is what we're talking about, Renee, and to our Austin radio listeners out there. We have to be very careful on who we're voting for, because so many people are saying that inflation is important. The economy, but you know what's really important, Renee? Democracy. Democracy is, in my opinion, is on the top of the list, because they want to change the way we live right here in the United States. They want to go back, and democracy it's just important, and we got to get out there and vote to save our democracy the way it is now. Because if 45 get close to that office again, you got to remember what he said, how he loved Putin, and if he was to get in office again, forget about it. He would be the president. He would be a king. That's what he said about China, that he's the king.
And he just wants to get reelected, because once he announces that he's running again, then it takes him off the plate in terms of all the horrible things that he's done, not only before he was president, during his presidency, and what he's doing right now. So we understand that you have to understand that a lot is at stake right now. And if you haven't voted and you still, and you're a registered voter, then if you go onto the website, iwillvote.com, and just follow the prompts, you will find out where your voting location is. You will find out if I'm registered, and some places you have an opportunity to still register vote, and you can learn more about voting. It's not too late if you haven't voted. But if you don't vote, understand you're going to wake up Wednesday morning with regret. And we have to understand that do not fall for the okey doke. Democrats, okay, who know that democracy is on the ballot, racial justice, okay, is on the ballot, public safety is on the ballot, public education is on the ballot, gun safety is on the ballot, LGBT rights are on the ballot, healthcare is on the ballot, women's right to choose is on the ballot. So that if all of that and not one of those things will make you run, not walk to go vote, or then what is it that will make you vote? And we're asking that you call, because if you voted, Calvin and I, we voted. And if you haven't voted, you can give us a call and we can help navigate you through the system. 252-756-2008. Join the conversation, and perhaps somebody can tell us why it's so important that and to understand that your vote matters, your vote counts, and we need for you to go vote. I need for you not to go alone, but if you have to go alone, go alone. But if you have a child that's in your house, okay, that's now has turned 18, they can vote. Take them with you. Let them we take our little grandson, to go vote. Let them understand that voting is something that as a child they will get used to, and when it comes time to them for them to vote, they will vote. And so again, what's on the ballot? Social Security. The Republicans want to gut Social Security. They want to gut Medicare. So you might not be taking or at the age to get that stuff, but when you do become at the age where you have seen your grandparents living off of the money that they invested, they're telling you that the money you invested, you're not going to be able to have access to it when you become of age. And then they're looking to change the age of eligibility. So maybe when it's 65, 67, now they want to make it 70. Well, guess what, my Black people? Most of us, because of the stress and what they do to us, we don't even live to be 70.
Well, you know what, Renee, just to add on to that, the Republicans also want to privatize Social Security. Now you think about that, you think about the stock market and Social Security. That means that if the stock market go up, the Social Security is good. If the stock market go down, then what's going to happen? You're going to get less Social Security and you might not get anything. And so it's so important that we realize what is going on and who we're going to vote for. You're going to vote for someone that want to privatize your Social Security, or they also did statistics said that the African American average life expectancy is 68. So if it's 68, now think about that. If it's 68 and now they want to make the retirement age 70, so who's going to benefit from Social Security? Who's going to benefit from retirement? So this is what you got to look at. One of the things we always say, listen with the third ear and look with the third eye, because a lot of times they say things and we just don't even think about it, but that's why you got to listen with that third ear, because that's what we do. We listen with the third ear and then we digest it and then we bring it back up again, because, to do these things, privatize Social Security, Renee, would be horrible.
Not only that, if they get control of it and they take it away, I'm retired. Okay, you're retired.
Yeah, we're both retired,
and we live off of those benefits. And if they were to take the benefits away based on income that we have adjusted our life to, well, then what would we have? If they say, well, listen, you've been getting X amount of dollars, but now we privatized and we're going to reduce your income, well, how would we be able to pay our bills? And people, You have got to start to think about that. If you're on disability, and they now say, we are going to take or reduce your disability, you've already made your bills or budget yourself based on that income. And if they think it's so easy to take it away, and the people who are in control, once a lot of these politicians get in office, they now are at the hands, okay, or people are soliciting them, like the gun manufacturing companies, like the drug manufacturing companies. They are now soliciting them to advocate for them. So drug companies don't want to have their prices controlled. And that's part of it now, that they now want to cap insulin at $35 a month, and some people are paying $3,000, $4,000, or going to Canada to get their drugs. They now want to say that no, we need you to be paying all of the money that you're getting for the drugs that they hooked you onto, so that you don't have any control of your income. So the drug manufacturers are giving money to a lot of these politicians, so that they can keep the drug prices high. They don't want what President Biden is doing to control drug prices. The same thing with the gun manufacturing companies. President Biden wants to put stricter laws. Why are 18-year-olds allowed to go into a store and buy an AR 15 or whatever number it is?
But not only that, Renee, but to buy, 100, 400 rounds, that's ridiculous. But I just want to say one other thing, Renee, that a lot of our listeners might not know this, but we do travel a lot, and we was out of the country for a while. And inflation is throughout the world right now. A lot of people say, well, we're going to blame inflation on Biden. But if you're going to blame it on Biden, then you're saying he's the president of the global world, which is not true. Gas prices in some countries we went to, Renee, was $8 a gallon. Can you imagine that? Not only was it $8 a gallon, but then the average income was, what was it, $800 a month. So think about that. And then you say, well, we are so bad here in the United States with $3.50 a gallon. That is nothing compared to, we have to pay $8 a gallon, and then your only income is $800 a month. That's it. And we're talking about US dollars, not foreign dollars.
So we just want you to know that you have to listen to the conversations that are going out there. All right. However, you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. And if you haven't done the research, you still have time, because tomorrow, November the 8th, is the general election day. And when we have the general election, you have to understand that this is it. There won't be another day after that. It won't be another tomorrow. November the 8th is the last day, so that if you haven't cast your vote, you can go on iwillvote.com and get as much information that you need to help you to get to cast your vote. We need every person who is out there that is eligible to vote to vote. I don't care. I mean, you can even go out there and vote your Republican stuff. I'm not saying if you go out there to vote, you can only vote Democrat. I'm saying I just need for you to vote. I need for you to understand what is at stake if you don't vote. And what is at stake is our democracy. What is at stake for people who are on disability, Social Security. And if you think that, and what's at stake? Okay, children who are on Social Security, disability insurance. These things are at stake, and it's so important that you understand that you need to vote. And that's all I can say. I've been saying it. We've been saying it for months now. And now it's the time. And understand that even in voting, okay, and you have these election deniers who will now say, oh,
We're going to be
Okay.
right back after this break. Don't touch that dial.
Oh. And welcome back to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Boston Hill. We are here at Awesome Radio 106.9 FM WBISLP. And again, should you choose to join the conversation, perhaps you want to speak on how valuable or how what can I call this? How critical this election is. Call us at 252-756-2008.
I'd like to know, Renee, the gas price. We have someone I see that's listening to us in St. Croix. I'd like to know the gas prices there.
Okay, well, not hearing. Okay. All righty. So we have to just make sure that everything is going okay and that all our listeners are out there hearing us because we want to know what's going in. The Virgin Islands is part of the U.S. Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. What is going on and even though you're not part of the Commonwealth, are they able to vote?
Well, they are able to vote. Yes, they are. Yes, they are able to vote. That's the bottom line. Yeah.
Okay, and gas prices. Okay, we're hearing in St. Croix is $3.79. All righty. And the cost of living, of course, like everybody else and every place else all across the world, inflation is up. Okay, but they're not able to vote for president, but they can vote, and they have elected officials like we do locally in their particular island. So again, vote. We don't care who you vote for. We do care, but we just want you to participate and to vote.
We never tell you, like you said, Renee, we never tell you who to vote for, but we do tell you to vote. And voting is so important because Wednesday, November 9th, when you wake up and you say, well, oh, I didn't vote, but then you say, well, I don't like that this person here got elected. But we don't want to hear that because you had the opportunity to make a difference.
And
People can win an election by one vote. It has happened. It has happened right here in Greenville, North Carolina, Pitt County. It has happened in other states. So we want you to understand how important it is for you to vote. And we're going to be talking about voting the rest of the show because that's how important it is. It's so important for you to cast that ballot, put it in there. And a lot of people, they have a ballot that they take with them where you can do that and not only do it, but look at it, study it, and decide who you're going to vote for. A lot of people go and vote for name recognition. That's not always the good or the best ideal because name recognition don't mean that they're going to be there to help you out. Name recognition only means they've been there and they speak the loudest. That's all that means.
And when I say don't go for the okey doke is that they're saying, oh, Republicans are so going out there and they're voting and it's a record turnout and they're voting out and they have more concerns than the Democrats. It doesn't matter the party that you're voting for, but just understand that if you don't vote, okay, and you believe that one set of people are going out more than the other, and just for the Republicans, because we know they're election deniers, there's 291 on the ballot who are going for critical positions, that if the election doesn't turn out the way that they wanted to, they're going to deny that there's fraud and that there's a whole and cause a whole bunch of confusion. But if we have a record turnout, and I'm saying we because this is the last day before the general election, and I'm saying if we don't turn out in numbers, they can play that game that, oh, just like the president, when President Biden won and Trump didn't win, they were saying, oh, it's a fraud. However, there were so many other Republicans who won. And then when it came time to certify the election, they didn't certify the election. So how was it that President Biden won, Trump didn't win? Meanwhile, the other people on the ballot who were Trump supporters, they won, and they didn't contest their elections. This is the silliness that is going on. And it's not even, this is the pathetic part of this whole. And we have an opportunity to say, well, listen, we are going to vote for people who we know are going to support our interests. And this is what I say. You don't know who you're going to vote for. And we have people, professional people who are doctors, who are lawyers, who now decided to become politicians. And they are seeking your vote. Now, they have operated on you. And now they're supporting the election deniers. They have now become elections deniers. They did not vote to certify the election. And these are people who are educated. So we have educated people, Calvin, on the ballots who are supporting Trump. They drank the Kool-Aid. They have now become
part of the cult.
That's
the bottom line. You know, Trump is the head of a cult right here in these United States, and you have individuals that have followed the Kool-Aid, you know, and that's what it's all about, you know, the Kool-Aid, because, you know, a lot of times people say, well, you don't know what flavor the Kool-Aid is. Well, I'm telling you, the color and the flavor of the Kool-Aid is Trump. That's the Kool-Aid. And people are following him no matter what. You know, I give you an example, Renee. You know, when he was running for election, what was it, Rubio? They were, what's that guy in Florida, Texas? Trump was calling them, talking about their mother, talking about their wife.
Cruz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talking about the father. And now, what happened? Now, all of a sudden, Cruz is right there, right up under Trump, you know? So this is what I'm saying. How can you talk about my wife and then I'm going to come back to you? It's not going to happen. You know, if I do come back to you, it's not going to be in a pleasant way. But anyway, you know, you got to listen to these individuals. You know, they always say that, you know, politicians don't have permanent enemies, but they do have permanent issues. And this is what you got to listen to, because the issues that they have going to stick with them no matter what. And the thing is, right now, the Republicans, all they want is numbers in the Senate, you know, numbers in the Congress. That's all they want. They don't care anything about, you know, Herschel Walker. He's, in my opinion, this is my opinion only, he's like a puppet, you know. What is a puppet? A puppet is someone that have strings tied to them, and you got the person that's behind this scene pulling the strings and making the puppet move, making the puppet seem like he's talking. Well, that's the way Herschel Walker is, in my opinion. He's nothing but a puppet for the Republicans. Look at him and look at Warnock. How can you compare the two? But then, according to statistics out here, are these polls, so-called polls, they're running neck and neck. How can that possibly be? This is why we have to get out and vote. And we have people to listen to us right in Georgia. So this is why you got to get out there and promote the individual that you think is going to best serve you. Do you think Trump going to serve you? He didn't serve you when he was in office for 4 years, in my opinion. So you got to get out there and vote. I'm now talking to our friends and family in Georgia. Get out there, not only vote, but take someone with you.
Okay, so, and again, what's on the ballot? Now, when John Lewis, and again, we speak about all the different bills that were on there and that they did not pass. Not only did they not pass because we did not have Republican support, but we also had Democrats who sided with the Republicans. So it's important in the Senate that we now come back and replace those two Democrats, talking about Manchin and Sinema. We get past them because we know that they are really siding with the Republicans who are not siding with the Democrats. And why is it important? Well, everybody, when John Lewis was alive and they had put the bill there, the John Lewis bill that was going to support the voter suppression and everything they were doing, not one Republican voted. They all love John Lewis, and we're coming up for a break right now. We'll be right back. Our last segment. Oh.
When we come back.
Well, she's in the middle.
Yeah. Just point to it and I'll do it.
And welcome back to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Boston Hill. We are here at Awesome Radio 106.9 FM WBISLP. 252-756-2008 is our call-in number. So now, Calvin, I'm looking at my computer and I see another reason why we need to get out there and vote. Now, if you are a federal employee, if you get those federal benefits, if the Republicans take control, because the Democrats are out of control, they've lost the House, they've lost the Senate, they are scrambling to find ways to avert a debt ceiling showdown with Republicans that threatens to effectively undo many of Biden's administration accomplishments. So that if they don't pass the new bill coming up, that means that Social Security checks won't go out, federal benefits won't go out. And again, they have every reason that they said the George Floyd bill, remember that bill? oh, we're going to pass that bill, which would had encompassed so many things in terms of police reform, getting more money into that budget so that they can get training and get more people on the force. Well, that bill didn't pass. The HR1 bill didn't pass, and that was for black money that goes into the market. There are so many things that will not happen and will never happen if President Biden does not get the support that he needs in the House and also in the Senate. So we need to make sure that we support and we go and just vote. What is the worst thing if you vote? That you can put a sticker on and then you can say, I voted.
That is so important, putting that sticker on. You know, Renee, we voted already, but the thing is, we want everyone that's eligible to vote, get out there and vote. Bring someone with you. You know, matter of fact, we do that. We always bring someone with us, and we bring family members, you know, that is eligible to vote. We bring them to make sure that they vote, because a lot of times these young folks, they say, I'm going to vote, I'm going to go vote. And they procrastinate, and then they don't vote, you know. And sometimes it's really your family, close family members say, I'm going to do it. But then young folks, they get so busy that they don't even think about voting. They don't even think about how voting is going to affect them, how their vote can affect them negative or positively. So this is why it's so important. When you got an 18 to 25-year-old in your home, you know, or your neighbor that you know really well, you know, get them, make sure that they vote. Make sure that you take them with you. This is how you get them to the polls, is you take them in your vehicle with you to vote, and you support them while they're there, because that is the important part right there. You know, a lot of people do it. You know, I can remember doing it, and now we're doing it with our grands. We're getting them out there. We're making sure that as soon as they turn 18 or 17, they register to vote. And when they're 18, we take them right there to the polls to make sure they vote. And we walk them through the process. That's how important it is to us. And it should be that important to you, because if I don't vote, Renee, I can't even complain about what's going to happen. You know, I can't complain. I have nothing to say. So if you don't vote, then you can't tell me, well, I don't like this. I don't like the way this is happening. You know, the inflation is bad. I don't want to hear it, you know, or, you know, women's rights, I don't want to hear it if we didn't vote. You know, every woman here in the United States should be out there. They should be appalled at this Supreme Court, and then they should be able to get out there and vote. And that's another thing, Renee. We got to pay attention to this Supreme Court, because they're going to be trying some other stuff. And you got to watch what they're doing, because I'm telling you, they're going to be coming after you for interracial marriage. They're going to be coming after you for, you know, the LGBT, right? Q. They're going to be coming after you for all different things. We got to get out there and vote.
And what's so important also, Calvin, as we're speaking, that we have to understand that when the virus, COVID-19, first came out, and who was president, he did not care that so many Black people were dying from the virus and how it was running rampant in certain communities. And if you are a person who lost a loved one, okay, over 1 million people have died, and he could have done something, Trump could have done something to help to stop the death of so many individuals. And now today, they're speaking on about how, oh, there's so many job openings, there's not enough people who are working. Well, guess what? People who were on the ventilators, people who really had severe attacks with the COVID, they are still going through it right now, and that they're unable to function and to work. So even though maybe we got a control on it, there are people who are still feeling the long-term COVID. Do you know somebody who's suffering through it? Do you know the role that Trump played in escalating this virus through our communities?
Well, you know, Renee, you are on it this morning, honey. You are on it. But I want to talk, let our awesome radio listeners know about Fish Fry Friday. Fish Fry Friday. We do this here at Awesome Radio every Veterans Day. Now, Fish Fry Friday is free to all veterans. Not only is it free to all veterans, but it's Friday, November the 11th. From the hours are between 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it's a drive-through. It's safe, social distancing. Stay in your vehicle. You don't have to get out of your vehicle, but you do need to show ID. You have to show your veteran's status. You know, as you're a veteran, you know, usually you have something. But then a lot of times, you know, I have to put this out there too. You know, veterans don't always have, you know, a veteran's ID. That's the other thing. You can be a veteran and not have a ID. You only have an ID. One, if you're retired, or two, if you have a medical condition through the VA. Other than that, you do not have a ID. So we have to talk about that one. The other thing is the address, which is very important. 2531 South Memorial Drive. That's where we are located. You can't miss us. Right now, we have flags in front of the building. We will be here. We're right off of Arlington Boulevard, you know, right across from McDonald's. We're going to be here Friday, November the 11th, between 11 and 1 p.m. So come and get your fresh fish.
All righty. So again, I have to go back, Calvin. We're speaking about the voting. And if you have not registered or if you need additional information, you can go onto the website, iwillvote.com, and just understand that know who you are voting for. Don't vote for somebody because they did surgery on you. Don't vote for somebody because you voted for them in the past. Go and find out what bills have they passed. What bills are they supporting? Are they supporting your cause? Okay. Are they supporting what's important to you? Know your candidate. All right. Know your candidate. Commissioners that are running right now, know your candidate. What have they done for you lately? The commissioners are the ones that get the money and then they send it down locally to the different towns and counties, and then they allocate. Know your school board members who are voting. Understand their agenda. Don't, and I mean, like, I'm a Black person. I vote. I don't only vote because a person is Black. I vote based on the agenda and how it's going to move my community forward. So just because you're Black, don't think I'm going to vote for you. I need to make sure that your history and your conversation doesn't tell me that if you're running for the school board, that you're going to ban books, okay, or that you're going to tell me that you don't want the agenda that Black people, what is it called,
CRT.
Yeah, the CRT, the critical race theory, is something that's going to hurt our children. Everybody, if you don't know your history, then you're doomed to repeat it. And everyone should know, all right? And we've grown from that, all right? We've grown from white folks beating us to death, hanging us from trees. We've grown for that.
No, we haven't grown from that because they're still hanging us, okay? There are different ways of lynching. And that's just because—
Speak it, Calvin.
Just because they don't lynch you from a tree, they lynch you other ways. You know, they lynched George Floyd. That was a lynching. Okay, right there in public, that was a lynching. And so but then they also are doing lynching on trees too, to today. So we got to be very careful when we say that they're not lynching. They're still lynching. It's just a different form of lynching.
And they're not lynching. They're still lynching. And maybe it's not out publicly. But yes, you're right, Calvin. They are still lynching us. And we have got to make sure that our voices are heard. All right. And the only way that our voices can be heard is based on the bills that these Congress people are passing. And then when just like Roe v. Wade, they said, okay, that was a federal bill that was put there to allow women to make choices in their bodies. So they took away that and they put it back in the state control. So now all these states are putting all these different laws in place that are telling women, and they're not even doctors that are telling women what to do with their bodies. They are lay people without any medical or professional opinion are telling people, no, you can't have an abortion. No. And it's so many Black women. I have to stay focused on Black people because so many Black women are dying. We don't have medical doctors that are focused on our conditions. So even in childbirth, I could have lost my life in childbirth, Calvin, because I was a young person in college having a child and I had to go to the clinic. And so with a clinic, you don't see the same person every time. And so, and you can't blame it. I was in college.
Well, see, that's the thing.
And so many Black women die in childbirth and they don't care. That's one way of not only making sure our child doesn't live, but we don't live. And we have to make sure that if a person speaks on health care, that we support that person because they want health care and fairness for all.
But since we're talking about childbirth, Renee, we know someone that within the last year, had a child, had a baby, and then they left something inside the woman. How can you do that in this time? You should not be leaving anything inside someone once they have a child.
And
once
you're talking about placenta.
Placenta. Yeah. Well, you're right. I didn't want to bring it out there, but you're absolutely right.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. So we're going to put it out there. So how could they leave that in there? If a doctor knows, because if they don't take it out, then the woman could end up dying.
So here it is now. They're putting these laws in by state on how, if a person is pregnant, even if it's incest, even if it's whatever it is, okay, they will have to carry the baby through term. And then now they're trying to say if a person is raped and they don't want the baby and maybe the rapist gets the baby, that the woman will have to pay child support.
Child support.
So I mean, what kind of in this day and age, what kind of laws are they putting? So it's important, not only do you make sure who goes to Congress, who goes to Washington, but you have to worry about who goes to your state capital, to your General Assembly, because it's those laws that are put in place that have a direct effect on you. You don't think you need to vote? Vote.
The other thing, Renee, we didn't talk about the Secretary of State. Secretary of State is so important. And why is it so important? Because they're the ones that look at these elections and determine, the electoral vote, all these things. So that's why the Secretary of State is so important when it comes to elections. A lot of people don't think about that, but we're telling you that you need to make sure that you get the right person in as Secretary of State. And that goes for all the states, not just North Carolina. That goes for all the states, because right now you have a lot of disclaimers that are running for Secretary of State. And why they're running for Secretary of State? Because they can control the election. That's why they're running. So this is why you got to make sure that you get the right people in those positions. So I'm going to repeat, Secretary of State is very important. We don't hear it that often. We don't talk about it that often, but you're going to hear it right here at News and Politics Today with Renee Boston Hill, because we want you to understand that the Secretary of State is so important.
And not only that, Calvin, January 6th, 2020 was a test run. And when they test run to see if to overturn the election, all right, and they locked up all some of these Proud Boys, some of these domestic terrorist people, they didn't lock them all up. And that was a test run. So come this midterm, they're going to test run again. They're going to, but now that not only will they do it in the capital of Washington, in Congress, they're going to do it state by state. Oh, I don't like the outcome of this election. I'm going to contest this election. But meanwhile, some people won, Republicans, some didn't win. And if they don't like it, they're going to contest it, drag it out. Okay. And we need to make sure that we pay attention because our vote does count. It does matter. Okay. Who we put as elected officials. And please do not take it for granted because Wednesday morning, there will be regrets, but I know that I voted and I might not get the outcome that I want, but it is something that we need to make sure that at least I had my voice heard and I contribute. Do not go for the okie doke. They might be telling you that it's neck and neck with Republicans and Democrats, but that is a lie. And you know, the election deniers, the liars in trust want you to feel, oh, don't bother going because it doesn't matter. It does matter. And we need to make sure that everybody goes and everybody's vote counts. Everybody vote counts. If you can vote, vote. We don't want anyone not waking up on Wednesday morning. Everything is on the ballot. Democracy, the most important. Yes, inflation is on the ballot. Okay, but President Biden is doing everything without the support. Without the support, he's doing everything he can to help control. It's not just one person. We have to have our voices heard so that when we send people to Washington, send people to Congress, that they are representing us. They're not on the agenda for the liar in chief, Trump.
You got it going on, Renee. Keep it going. You are on topic this morning.
I'm just saying. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to do. I can't. I mean, we've been talking about this for a whole year, Calvin. Now we're at the point that if I can't get you to go vote, if I can't tell you exactly, just look at the jobs that President Biden is bringing back. He brought the gas prices down, but he cannot control the people like, what's Trump's son-in-law's name? Who's now brought into the Saudi. You know, he brought into the Saudis and he's now, and their Saudis don't want to talk to us to help us to produce more oil. We're doing, you know, look at what's going on in Ukraine. Look at the war. Do you want that here? This can happen in this United States. That same thing that's going on because we have Putin lovers. We have people who can actually get on TV and say they love what Putin is doing to Ukraine. Am I making the story up, Calvin?
No, you're not making it up. And not only that, Renee, but we got to be careful too because they're also talking about a civil war. What is a civil war today? You know, that's why everyone got to be prepared, you know, in your home. Be prepared when you go out. We want you to just be out there and be safe.
Okay, so listen, we'll be back next week, Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in to News and Politics Today. I'm exhausted.